a lot has happened within the past 48 hours. So bear with me. And I'm going to try to break this down in a way that anybody can understand. Let's start with the past 48 hours, shall we? Donald Trump put out a statement saying that Iran had surrendered, that they are not going to attack their neighboring countries. Donald Trump's statement was misunderstood, but Donald Trump was also lying. So let me show you what Iran actually said. Again, from Pezeshkian, we have not attacked our friendly and neighboring countries. Rather, we have targeted U.S. military bases, facilities, and installations in the region. People really misunderstood what he was saying here. Iran just made a move that changes everything. This is from No Limit. Iran's president just said neighboring countries will no longer be attacked. That sounds like de-escalation, but it's not. It's actually the opposite. Most people are going to completely misread this. Here's what's really happening. Unless an attack on Iran is launched from their territory, the U.S. is literally launching strikes on Iran from those countries right now. This is the part that people really misunderstood. They were like, well, he said they're not going to attack neighboring countries. Like, those are U.S. military bases in those countries. He's attacking the U.S. installations in those countries. People totally misunderstood what he was actually saying. Donald Trump just blatantly lied. Al Udeid in Qatar, Al Dhafra in UAE, Ali Al Salim in Kuwait, bases in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Oman. That's where American bombers, fighters, and drones are flying from. Iran isn't saying we'll stop. They're saying tell America to leave or we will keep hitting you. This is a pressure play on the Gulf states. Iran is trying to split them from the U.S. and force them to choose. So do you guys see the problem here? How Donald Trump basically took what he said and made it seem like Iran was surrendering, but they actually were not surrendering. The United States government wants Iran to surrender. And part of that has to do with the fact that the U.S. doesn't have as many weapons as you think that they do. Don't forget the U.S. gave so many weapons to Ukraine. Don't forget we still got Russia and Ukraine happening. There's still another war. The U.S. supply of weapons isn't what it used to be. So I guess the whole plan that they had was to go in and hit them hard and then hoping that the hard hits would make them say, okay, we surrender and stop. But that's not happening. Then we fast forward to the neocons. And you know it's a wrap when Condoleezza Rice made her way into the White House. When you start seeing people from the Bush administration show up to the White House, you know, and you got to know that Donald Trump and his administration have gone, they are full neocon. She was there to talk to Donald Trump. Miss Pro-Iraq War was there. There is no peace with Donald Trump. He's taking advice now from Condoleezza Rice, of all people. And she was just on Fox News lying about the Iraq War once again. This is who Donald Trump is working with now.
And if you ask people about Iraq, what was the source of many of our casualties in Iraq, you'll get estimates as high as 75 or 80% of them were due to Iranian-made roadside bombs. And so they've been at war for us a long time. They also have developed the military capability to have reach outside of the boundaries of Iran, including Hezbollah and Hamas, which they both arm and equip and continue to arm and equip.
This was a lie. So she's talking about Iraq and she's trying to say it wasn't the U.S. who did those attacks. Neocon walks right into the White House. The other neocon who is just hanging around there is Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham working alongside with Israel.
Everybody before Trump said you can't have a nuclear weapon, you can't do this. Now we're finally doing something about it. So we're going to stick with it. I talked to BB this morning. They're all in. This regime's going to collapse. It's not if, it's when. And the day that happens, the world will be safer.
Lindsey Graham loves war more than anything, right? He's married to war. Maybe this is why Lindsey Graham does not have a significant other. I think he actually gets turned on by it, to be honest. Lindsey Graham is out there talking to Benjamin Netanyahu. He's out there all over the place, being very happy and promoting this as well. Now, let's get to the school bombings. Here's another thing that happened in the past 48 hours. Donald Trump is still lying, telling people that it was Iran that struck those schools, even though corporate media is now debunking it.
Iran today accused the U.S. of hitting a desalination plant in Iran. And they said that might open the door to other strikes on infrastructure, non-military.
Allow us to also open the door to other strikes against them.
Look, you respond to that allegation? Did the U.S. hit the desalination?
They are among the most evil people ever on earth. They cut babies' heads off. They chop women in half. When they did, take a look at October 7th. Take a look at what they've done over the last 47 years. So I know nothing about a desalination plant other than to say if they're complaining about a desalination plant, we complain about the fact that they shouldn't be chopping babies' heads off.
Now Donald Trump is using the same rhetoric that was used against Gaza, that Iran is chopping off babies' heads. When all else fails, let's go back to this lie, which there is no evidence of, that Iran was chopping off baby heads. And imagine talking about that when you are literally in the Epstein files over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Imagine talking about that when you and your buddies are in the Epstein files over and over and over and over and over with alleged abuses towards underage girls. The buddies that Donald Trump said that he didn't want to get hurt. So he's continuing to spread that lie. They're using similar propaganda. We'll just tell people that they chop off babies' heads. The same people who didn't even want you to see what was happening in the Epstein files about the young people there, all of a sudden pretend to care about these babies that they're bombing. Make it make sense. The crazy part about this, we talk about the school there, is that CNN reported that this was actually false. Let me bring this up here. Let me bring this up here. And we know how, CNN can be with their stuff. I have to pull this back up, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to that one, but here we go, right here.
The deadliest incident of civilian casualties was a strike that happened on an elementary school in southern Iran that killed scores of children. Tonight, a CNN analysis of that attack reveals evidence suggesting that the United States military was likely responsible for it. What you're about to see is disturbing. I want to warn you,
We've seen it. We can't play it on YouTube. But did you hear what she just said? The U.S. military was responsible for that attack. And it's not just CNN that's reporting that. A number of them had to retract their statements because they were listening to the State Department, which again controls the narrative of corporate media for most of the time. The war crimes that have happened so far. The Iranian Red Crescent urges the International Criminal Court to investigate the U.S. and Israeli war crimes against Iran civilians. Over 6,668 civilian structures, over 5,535 homes, 14 hospitals, 65 schools, the list goes on. Trump and Israel are bombing civilians, not combatants. And here's that request here from the Iranian Red Crescent. They're reaching out to the ICC. They are bombing civilians. Donald Trump is lying. Of course, they bombed the civilians and then they tell you that it was Iran that did it. That's their way of kind of wiping their hands of it, but they're known liars. Dropsite News reported here that Iranian medical authorities say that 20 hospitals and emergency service stations have been hit since the start of the attacks. So do you see how they again target the healthcare workers, the hospitals, the schools? Very similar play to what we saw happen in Gaza. This is Israel's MO. And the US government, the US military is participating in it as well. As you'll see here, when we talk about the latest, this is wild, the things that he's saying. It's just getting crazier over time. We get into the oil. Kuwait slashes oil production. Like I'm telling you guys, like it's wild. Let's see if we can get to March 8th here. They changed these a lot. But this will take us into the oil report. Eric, can we go to the next part? Let me remove this from here. One of the things that happened that is probably the most devastating has been the oil. That's not the right one. It's the other one. Has been the oil. There have been oil depots that have been hit in Iran and in Israel. In fact, that's right. Thank you. You'll see it here. This looks apocalyptic to me, and they called it out right here. I see it as the same way. So Israel hit Iran oil depots, multiple of them. And at first I thought this was not real, but it is real. This looks like a scene from a movie, but this is what happens after those oil depots were hit. Look at this. Gonna mute it so it doesn't pick up the music there. But do you guys see this? Can you imagine driving down the street and seeing this? All of that smoke, people in Iran are breathing in all of that smoke. In fact, we'll go to this reporter here. He's covering the Sharon oil depot in Western Tehran that was hit by airstrikes. So yes, Iran is allowing reporters to come in, unlike Israel, only allowing people to see certain things.
Scene that we're seeing here. We've just made it to the Shahran oil depot, which was attacked last night in major airstrikes. We heard those for hours, really, last night, those massive thuds, and you can see that the damage here is immense. There's an oil tanker over there that's totally destroyed, and you can see that the front gate of the facility is also destroyed as well. And then there's just this massive, thick black smoke still originating from the destroyed depot. We've seen some flames also. I think you can see those a little bit in the backdrop. But this site is completely destroyed and at the same time still on fire. And of course, throughout the morning in Tehran, it's been raining. We've seen oil mixed into the rain coming down on the city. And then, of course, the air right now in the city also feels really heavy.
So that would equal acid rain. So the oil has been mixed into the air. Like, this is absolutely insane. This is a war crime. And you'll see another one here. There's another reporter, Iranian TV correspondent, reports live from bombed oil depots in Tehran with massive flames raging behind him, as you can see here.
وقتی میزنه میخواد شما مردم اذیت بشید، میخواد کارهای نظامی نیست، بنزین برای مردمه، بنزین برای اینی که ماشین‌های شما، ماشین‌های امدادی و آمبولانس‌های شما راحت در شهر بچرخه. اینجایی که
I'm sorry, I don't know what he's saying. I didn't have a translation here, but do you see the flames that are just exploding like behind him? That's absolutely insane. That's what happens when you strike these oil depots. All of that, the air is hazardous. It's hazardous for them to breathe the air at this point in time. They're creating environmental sickness. Yes, environmental sickness, as I would call it. We saw this happen guys, it happened in Vietnam. They did it in Gaza, and they're doing it again. Imagine all that. The oil has been the thing that's been one of the big concerns within the past 24 hours. There's another one here. This is very dangerous. A spill of oil in the sewage system has created a flowing, burning river in parts of Tehran after oil depots were bombed earlier tonight, setting the streets in the Iranian capital on fire. So you see here how the oil has caught fire. It's wild. It's insane. We have more to show you here. Like I said, some of these elements. This one, I think, look at this. Tehran's Sharon Oil Depot. Look at this picture. These are all war crimes. That is so dangerous to hit the oil. Like, I had to double check some of this stuff. However, after those oil depots were hit in Iran, Iran started to hit back at Israel. The Haifa refinery has been devastated. Iran launched dozens of missiles in retaliation for the attacks in Tehran, and now Israel's main industrial city is in collapse. The Israelis are suffering the worst catastrophe in decades, and they don't want you to see this. Like, Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government are trying to tell people not to film because they don't want you to see the devastation happening in Israel.
آخر التصريحات الحرس الثوري تحدث أيضا عن استهداف مصفاة حيفا ردا على مصفاة طهران، وكان حزب الله أيضا في لبنان قال إنه استهدف مصفاة نفط في حيفا في شمال إسرائيل.
Yeah, they don't want you to see this, guys. I'm telling you. That's why they didn't want people filming, and you'll see an effort where they try to take that away from each other. And when you look at oil from the longer game here, Iran just told the US and Israel, pay us or the war doesn't end. This is not a bluff. Ali Larijani, the secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, just made a statement that should terrify every market on earth. The war will end only when Iran's adversaries understand they no longer have the right to violate Iranian territory and agree to pay compensation for the damages caused. Let that sink in. Iran isn't negotiating. Iran is setting the terms. Look at the chart. Look at this. You guys see how the price of oil is jumping through the roof? $90 a barrel. So I warned everybody that this wasn't going to be good for any of us, especially those of us that have to drive. This is getting wild. So Iran is holding the cards here. And I think that, Netanyahu and Donald Trump bit off more than they can chew. Check this out. There are Israelis that are trying to film the coverage. And there are reports that say Israeli police are arresting people in Israel who film areas hit by Iranian missiles. Look at this. Watch it. You can see it for yourself. They don't want people to know.
רגע, אמרת התקהלות אסורה, אני הולך! אתה אמרת התקהלות אסורה? רגע. אז אני רוצה ללכת מעכשיו. אמרת התקהלות אסורה? רגע, אבל אתה אמרת לי התקהלות אסורה? אני אומר לך לעצור. לא, רגע, אתה לא יכול להגיד לי לזוז. התקהלות אסורה, אמרת להתפזר. עכשיו לעצור. מה, אני לא הבנתי. אתה אומר לי להתפזר, אני מתפזר.
See, they don't want them to film because they want people to believe that they're not actually getting hit like that. The narrative is supposed to be that the US and Israel are destroying Iran, that they're, pummeling Iran. They don't want you to see what Iran is doing in return. And, I warn people about that, but you can see it here. Iranian media shares compiled footage of the destruction in Israel. So you guys got to see this for yourself. We're just going to mute it for the sake of music. You see all of this, the buildings that have been hit. they don't want you to know. Multiple times, those missiles, these are all the missiles that have gotten through the Iron Dome. So you guys know the Iron Dome is not bulletproof. You can still get through, especially with the type of power that Iran has been using. So yeah, man, they don't want you to see this. And corporate media, a lot of them, they're only showing the destruction that has happened to Iran. They're not showing you the destruction that has been done to Israel or some of those US bases in Saudi Arabia and etc. So do you see what's happening? The destruction. Let's go to the next part here, Eric. The scariest part about all of this as well is, of course, all the people that are being killed, whether it's children, women, etc. And this has not been confirmed, but it is being reported. This is from Ali Larijani. Ali Larijani, we just mentioned him earlier. He said, "It has been reported to me that several American soldiers have been taken prisoner, but the Americans claim that they have been killed in action. Despite their futile efforts, the truth is not something they can hide for too long." Now, the Trump administration is denying this. They're saying that that's not true. But I mean, we may never know, right? But I told you, I really don't believe it was just 6 people that were killed. They're going to try to make sure those numbers stay low, just like they tried to make sure the numbers stayed low in Gaza. With American troops, they're going to try to make sure that number stays low as well. They know that the majority of Americans don't support a war with Iran, so they're going to try to do what they can. But it makes me wonder. I mean, they've been lying about everything else. We're talking about troops on the ground, and I think people need to see something that was also shown here. One second. U.S. boots on the ground. The Pentagon confirms rapid deployment of paratroopers and Army units to the Middle East theater. The initial airdrop targeting approximately 100,000 troops deep into Iran. Full buildup expected within 3 weeks. There's a video here.
Get him out of there.
All these people going over there to die for Israel. But there is a twist to this. So the Pentagon is apparently trying to increase American troops to go over there and fight for Israel. But check this out. This is from Mike Presner. Mike Presner said, "I can also confirm they did not tell them that this was a combat deployment until it was too late. Everyone was told they were only going to training." These guys are being tricked. This is why people say get out of the military. That's why we've been saying this for years. Mike Presner said he also told her his commander said they were doing this to bring about the second coming of Christ. When I mentioned this last time, people thought I was joking. Like, no, this is what soldiers are saying. So apparently some of these guys were told that they were going to do training exercises, not combat war. Not saying this is a confirms that the U.S. is invading, just that at least one soldier told their parent this before losing access to all communication. "I was part of the buildup to invasion of Iraq. What I've heard today from troops and families is so reminiscent of February to March 2003. It doesn't prove the U.S. is invading, but that they are definitely preparing to. Will they? Probably, weighing many factors, and our resistance is one of them." He also goes on to say this: "Phones have been ringing off the hook. A lot more units have just been activated for deployment than the public knows about." He shared this here. You don't have to choose your orders over your conscience. Service members have options. If you agree war on Iran is wrong, we can help. So they're offering options here to people who are soldiers. This is coming from the Center on Conscience and War. But yeah, more people. And that brings up this question as well. Let me pull this over here. This question of the draft. So this was asked to Carolyn on Fox News.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be. And President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander in chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
Mothers out there are worried.
So when questioned about the draft, implementing the draft, the response from the White House is all options are on the table. They're considering it. They are ready to send your babies, your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister. They are willing to send your babies to go over there and kill other babies and die for Israel. We shouldn't have anything to do with this. We should not be fighting Iran. We shouldn't be fighting any of these people. These wars need to stop. And apparently there are some people in Israel who are now protesting against the war. Protesters in Tel Aviv give voice to Israel's anti-war minority. Look at this one.
About 50 people or so have gathered here in Tel Aviv's Habima Square in a protest against the war here, but also against Israel's occupation of the West Bank. You can see some of the signs here they're holding behind me. The two biggest ones say resisting empire and arms embargo now. There is also a counter protest here trying to drown out those who are opposing the war. The studies since the beginning of the war 8 days ago have shown that most of the people here in Israel are in support of the war here. They've been out at least one other time since the war has begun here.
You see this? It says Jews against Jewish supremacy, a regional nightmare. Now, they are the minority, of course, but I think people need to see something here. This reporter here is saying that even the bunkers aren't safe. People die deep inside them. Iranian missiles sometimes hit without sirens. Israeli government blocks hospital access, hides casualties, lies about its losses, and doesn't allow filming. And these were just things people say, that bunkers in Israel are very good. We saw that people died in 100-foot deep bunkers there, and you are not being told the reality of what is happening. And when an incident happens, we don't even know what the location is. That's from this journalist here.
जब बम फटता है ना तो वो देखता ही नहीं कि भारतीय है कि इजरायली है। सही बात। और आपके बगल में ना गोलियों से तो आप बच जाएंगे, राइट लेफ्ट चोट लगेगी।
Notice he looks like he has an injury. I think that's an injury on his head there.
मिसाइल से आप बचेंगे नहीं। और ये कहने की बातें थी कि बंकर बहुत अच्छे होते हैं। 100 फीट गहरे बंकर में हमने देखा कि लोग मर गए वहां पे। और आपको कुछ नहीं बताया जा रहा असलियत क्या, क्योंकि हमें कुछ बता। ये तो इंडियन मीडिया है, धन्यवाद देना चाहिए सरकार का। कितनी बेहतरीन सरकार है हमारी। वहां तो सरकार आपको कुछ बता नहीं रही। आप वहां विजुअल्स नहीं ले सकते लाशों के, अस्पताल आप नहीं जा सकते। और जब
I'm sorry, I don't have a translation, so I'm not going to play the whole thing. But I read that part for you there, that Israel is lying about the casualties. I told you, they don't want you to see just how hard they're being hit. And apparently those bunkers aren't as safe as we thought they were. Oh, a religious mark? Oh, okay. Eric said that might be a religious mark on his head. Thank you. Now, we get to this part here as well. Benjamin Netanyahu just put out this threatening cry here. You don't do this unless you're desperate. This speech right here from Netanyahu is a cry of desperation. Listen to what he says.
וביחס למה שנעשה בהמשך באיראן,
What we will do next in Iran. So he's speaking in Hebrew, so you know who he really talking to.
יש לנו תוכנית סדורה עם הרבה הפתעות.
We have a detailed plan with many surprises to destabilize the regime.
לערער את המשטר, לאפשר שינוי. יש לנו עוד הרבה מטרות, ולא אפרט אותן כאן.
We have many more targets and I will not elaborate on here.
אבל לפעילי משמרות המהפכה, אלה שרודים בעם האיראני ברחובות,
To the Revolutionary Guard operatives that oppose Iran in the streets, I will say this to you.
אומר לכם רק זאת, גם אתם על הכוונת. מי שיניח את נשקו, לא יאונה לו כל רע.
He said, you are in our sights. Those who lay down their arms will not be harmed. Now that right there ought to tell you something. If they can see the people who are protesting against the current regime, if they can see all that, they can see them damn kids that they hitting in them schools. You with me? Yeah, that right there tell you something.
מי שלא יעשה זאת, דמו בראשו. ולעם האיראני אני אומר, אני מדבר איתכם,
Their blood is on their hands. To the Iranian people, I have been speaking to
עבורכם
you.
כבר עשרות שנים. רגע האמת מתקרב.
I've been speaking to you for decades. The moment of truth has arrived because we do not seek to divide. You're right. Yeah, you seek to conquer.
כי איננו מבקשים לחלק את איראן. אנחנו מבקשים לשחרר את איראן. לשחרר אותה מעול העריצות.
Let's go back to this part here where he talks about
לשחרר את איראן. לשחרר אותה מעול העריצות ולחיות עימה בשלום.
So this part's really important when he talks about we seek to liberate Iran. We want to liberate the people. What you have to understand is when these genocidal maniacs, a lot of times colonizers, when they talk about the term liberate, what they really mean is dominate. Liberate to him means dominate. And you are therefore liberated by bowing to him and doing what they want you to do. That's their idea of liberation, meaning that they're at the top, you're at the bottom, the pecking order, and Israel and what Israel wants is now running the country. So a Western regime is installed and you are bending the knee to them. That's what he means by that.
אבל בסופו של יום, השחרור מעול העריצות, השחרור הזה יהיה תלוי בכם.
That liberation will depend on you.
בני העם האיראני האמיץ ולמוד הסבל.
The brave Iranian people. So he's trying to get them to rise up.
אני מאמין שאם תתייצבו ברגע האמת, לא ירחק היום שבו ישראל ואיראן תחזורנה להיות ידידות אמיצות.
So he's basically telling them that if they stand up and they basically fight back against the current regime, then he has no doubt that Israel and Iran will have a closer relationship once again. So I told you guys, like, this is an old colonizer Western trick. It's been done over and over again. It basically means that you will do what they want you to do. I mean, look at this guy. Look at the look on his face. Does it look like someone that you think that you can trust? Look at the expression on his face. Would you trust this guy? Okay. Now, this part here, I want you to see this as well. This is important. 9 days of war, 4,500 strikes, and Iran is still firing. Here's what nobody is telling you. The most detailed battlefield map just dropped, and the numbers are staggering. In 9 days, the U.S. and Israel launched 4,500 strikes across Iran. Iran fired back 3,500 vectors, including 905 missiles. Let that sink in. So, guys, I think we have a picture here. Look at this. Do you guys realize how much Iran has fired back? Look at this. Oh, and by the way, to even strike Israel, Iran has to go all the way over Iraq, part of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, to hit Israel, right? Do you guys realize? Look at this. They're firing on all sides. UAE, Qatar, Bahrain. Again, they're hitting those U.S. bases there. Kuwait, U.S. bases. Like, I don't think that Israel and the U.S. were ready for this. I really don't. I don't think so. Any other parts we got there, Eric? Let me know. I don't think they were ready for this at all. Now, there are questions about what will happen with Russia and China. I saw something, I have to confirm it. I saw something where Russia said that they are going to be willing to help Iran. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to enter this war, but it seems like that they would help them with weapons, allegedly. I haven't had that confirmed just yet, but I did see that. And then I think that we just have to stay tuned and pay attention to see what's happening here. I think it's only a matter of time before the U.S. and Israel might be begging Iran for a ceasefire, because like I said, these weapons that Israel had mainly come from the United States, right? And so we're their largest supplier. But then the United States, don't forget, was also giving weapons to Ukraine. So the U.S. doesn't have the weapon stockpile that we used to have. This is what happens when you try to take over everything all at once like a madman and a freaking lunatic. You shouldn't take over anything, period. We need to focus on what's happening here in the U.S. But I'm here to tell you guys, if you haven't seen my interview with Professor Mohammed Randy, definitely check that out. Watch that. I don't see Iran surrendering here. I really don't. From what I'm looking at, Iran look like they got weapons for days. People have to remember they have been preparing for this for over 20 years. They've been ready, fam. They've been ready. And when you look at this and see what Iran looks like in the morning, this is what they woke up to. After the oil, fires and explosions, look at the sky. They can't see the sun. It's a black sky. They're breathing in all of those harsh chemicals. How is this not a war crime? It is. But nobody's trying to stop the U.S. and Israel. And here's what I go to say again. I think that at some point, all of this is going to fall. Chaos has officially erupted, but I think that the U.S. and Israel may have met their match. We'll have to wait and see. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.